Hello, third graders. A teacher asked students to write about the topic dogs. Henry wrote about how to take care of a pet dog. Susan wrote about different breeds of dogs. Kira wrote about how she is afraid of dogs. Everyone wrote about the same topic, but they all had something different to say about it. The main idea is what the author says about a topic. Each student had a different main idea about the topic dogs. Before we learn about main idea, let's review what you already know about topics and text features. In second grade, you learned to identify the topic or subject. You also learned to use text features to help you understand the text. For example, I bet you've already noticed this colorful photograph and that you know it gives a clue about what the text is going to be about. You may have already noticed that there's a title, Very Strange Fish. The text feature of a title also gives a clue and helps us to understand the text. In third grade, we really start to pay attention to paragraphs. Paragraphs are how the author organizes their ideas. In third grade, our learning target is I can identify the main idea and supporting details of paragraphs within a text and of the text as a whole. Pay attention to the paragraphs. Sometimes they are numbered. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. We are going to learn strategies to help you if you're asked a question such as, what is the main idea of the first paragraph? Or, what is the main idea of paragraph 2? Or you might be asked, what is the main idea of the entire text? These 3 strategies will help you to answer questions about the main idea. The main idea is simply the topic plus what the author is saying about it. What about it? Sometimes, not always, but sometimes the first sentence in a paragraph is the main idea. There's a third strategy using an ice cream graphic organizer, and we'll get to that in a moment. Let's take a look here at a text. This is the same text, Very Strange Fish, but I took away the photograph so we could take a look more closely at the 2 paragraphs. We're going to follow these steps. Read the text to get the gist and notice the paragraphs and text features. We'll do that first. Then we're going to reread each paragraph and use the strategies for main idea. It's important to separate the different paragraphs because each paragraph has its own main idea. Once we discuss main idea a little bit more, we'll be highlighting the main idea with green and highlighting details with orange, and then even writing a main idea statement. Let's start with step 1 though, and just read the text to get the gist, the whole big idea of what the text is about. Follow along with me as I read. Very strange fish. Seahorses are strange fish. Their heads look like horse heads, and their tails are curly. They act strange too. They suck food through their snouts. Seahorses do not have stomachs. Sometimes 2 seahorses swim with their tails hooked together. Like other fish, mother seahorses lay eggs, but father seahorses carry the eggs in a pouch like a kangaroo. Seahorses are not good swimmers. Many fish have powerful fins to help them move, but seahorses have small fins. They swim very slowly. Most of the time, they stay still. Seahorses are not just another fish in the sea. I'm thinking now about specifically this first paragraph. I'm going to reread the first paragraph and think about what is the topic and what is the author saying about it. Seahorses are strange fish. Their heads look like horse heads and their tails are curly. They act strange too. They suck food through their snouts. Seahorses do not have stomachs. Sometimes two seahorses swim with their tails hooked together. Like other fish, mother seahorses lay eggs, but father seahorses carry the eggs in a pouch like a kangaroo. I noticed the author mentioned seahorses 4 times in this first paragraph. I think that the topic is seahorses. And I think that what the author is saying about seahorses, the big idea about seahorses, is that they're strange fish. Now that I think I know the main idea, seahorses are strange fish, I'm going to use that third strategy with the ice cream graphic organizer to check my thinking. Look at this delicious ice cream cone. The main idea is like the cone, and the ice cream scoops are details. When we have a main idea in a paragraph, it must have supporting details that match the main idea. I think the main idea is seahorses are strange fish, but I must find details in this paragraph to support that seahorses are strange fish. If I find those details, I probably am correct and I have the right main idea statement. If I don't find any details and examples of how seahorses are strange, I need to go back and reread and think again about what is the main idea. I've gone ahead and underlined seahorses are strange fish with green because I believe that's my main idea. Now I'm going to see how many sentences are specific details that match the main idea, seahorses are strange. I'll be using the orange line tool. I'm not going to use the highlighter, and I'm going to even size down my line tool because I don't want to cover up any of the text. I still want to be able to see all of the text. Their heads look like horse heads, and their tails are curly. Wow, I don't know about you, but I don't know any other fish that have heads that look like horse heads or curly tails. This is a specific detail that supports the main idea, seahorses are strange. So I'm going to use my line tool and underline the supporting detail. It's like one scoop of ice cream on top of my main idea cone. Let's see about the next sentence. They act strange too. The author is saying that they act strange, but the author is not giving me a specific detail in this sentence, so it's not the best sentence to underline as a supporting detail. They suck food through their snouts. Whoa, that is a specific detail, and it sure is strange. I don't know any other fish that suck food through their snouts. So I'm going to underline that it's a second scoop of ice cream or a detail that matches this main idea that seahorses are strange. Seahorses do not have stomachs. What? What happens to the food that they eat, I wonder? I'm going to definitely underline seahorses do not have stomachs because that's a detail about how they are strange fish. Sometimes two seahorses swim with their tails hooked together. That's also a detail. I don't know any other fish that swim with their tails hooked together. The author's doing a great job providing a lot of supporting details for the main idea. Like other fish, mother seahorses lay eggs. If the author says like other fish, then that's not really an example of how seahorses are strange. It's actually an example of how they're normal or like other fish. So this is not a good sentence to underline as a supporting detail for this main idea. But father seahorses carry the eggs in a pouch like a kangaroo. Well, father seahorses carrying the eggs like kangaroos is quite strange. So I'm going to underline that as another supporting detail. Since I have all of these details that match the main idea, I feel pretty sure that the main idea is seahorses are strange fish. Now we're ready to write a race response. You'll see this a lot in 3rd grade, boys and girls, and even in 4th and 5th grade. You'll be asked to write a race response. RACE is an acronym where each letter stands for something to help you remember the algorithm or steps to follow. If you have a question such as, what is the main idea of the first paragraph? You're going to restate the question. R stands for restate the question. And all that really means is that you get to use the words in the question for your first sentence. All you have to do is change the letter T to a capital T since we're now beginning a sentence. And you have to take away the question mark because we're writing a sentence, not a question now. These words match because I'm restating. That means I'm stating again the question, but I'm saying it as a sentence. So instead of what is the main idea of the first paragraph as a question, I'll write the main idea of the first paragraph is. That's a great restatement of the question, but I better also answer the question. A stands for answer the question. Here is where I'll need to type what I believe is the main idea. Seahorses are strange fish. And then I'll need to end my sentence with a punctuation. The C stands for cite text evidence. In this case, the letter C is a soft C, and it says cite text evidence. When we cite text evidence, it means that we're writing down the details right from the text. So when you're asked to support your answer with details from the text, you'll be able to use all of those details that you've underlined and put them right into your race response. You'll need to start with the words a detail from the text is, and then fill in the blank with one of the details. It's a really good idea to have at least 2 details, so you might use this word, another detail from the text is. This gives me a chance to write a second detail. The E in race stands for explain your thinking. This is another opportunity for you to show your teacher and explain your thinking by saying something like, this shows the main idea that, and you may restate the main idea and explain your idea and your thinking. You'll also be asked to remember cups. We'll talk a lot more about this later, but for now, just remember CUP stands for check your capitalization, your usage or understanding. You can do that by reading out loud what you write to make sure it makes sense. Punctuation and spelling. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our paragraph. We're going to answer the question, what is the main idea of the first paragraph? And we're going to support the answer with details from the text. Let's highlight so we can use the text to help us do our race response. So I've already read the text to get the gist. I reread paragraph 1 since that's what I'm answering a question about, the first paragraph. This is the first paragraph. Highlight the main idea with green. Seahorses are strange fish. Highlight 2 details with orange. Well, remember, we found a lot more than 2 details, but I only need to pick 2, so I'm going to choose 2 of my favorite. I really thought it was interesting that seahorses do not have stomachs, so I'm going to use that detail. And I think it was pretty interesting that it said their tails are curly. I like their curly tails, and that's a detail that supports how, in one way, that they're strange. Now I'm ready to write a main idea statement using race and cups. Remember the R stands for restate the question. So the question is, what is the main idea of the first paragraph? So I'll begin my race response by changing the T to an uppercase and writing, the main idea of the first paragraph is. Here is where I'll use my text tool. I'm going to answer the question, that's the A in race, and I get to use the words right here as my main idea answer. I need to make sure that the S changes to a lowercase though, because I'm now in the middle of a sentence. Seahorses are strange fish, period. Let's check and see if this makes sense so far. The main idea of the first paragraph is seahorses are strange fish. That sounds like a great start to my race response. I restated the question and I answered the question. Now I'm going to support my answer with details from the text. A detail from the text is, here I get to use the text itself to help me with spelling and remembering my ideas. I'll put the text tool here and type, their tails are curly. Their tails are curly, period. My second sentence is, a detail from the text is their tails are curly. Can actually probably fit that right there. I get a second opportunity to cite the text, and another detail from the text is, seahorses do not have stomachs. I'm going to change that S to a lowercase because I know that I am right in the middle of a sentence since I'm continuing on after this sentence stem. Another detail from the text is, seahorses do not have stomachs. If you didn't know how to spell those words, you get to use the text right here because citing text means that you are actually using the words that the author used to explain your answer. This shows the main idea that, well, I'm just going to say what I think is the main idea again. Seahorses are strange fish, but I might use a different word and put it in more of my own words. When there are details like their tails are curly and that they don't have stomachs, this shows the main idea that seahorses are not like other fish. They're really different or strange. Now I'm going to reread my entire race response to make sure it makes sense. Check for capitalization, punctuation, and spelling's no problem because I'm using the words right here from the text. Follow along with me as I read my race response. The main idea of the first paragraph is seahorses are strange fish, period. A detail from the text is their tails are curly, period. Another detail from the text is seahorses do not have stomachs, period. This shows the main idea that seahorses are not like other fish, period. This is a great race response. Tomorrow, we're going to have a chance to answer a question about what is the main idea of the second paragraph. Because remember, each paragraph has a main idea. Then we'll answer what is the main idea of the text very strange fish. When the title is included in the question, that means that we're being asked to identify the main idea of the entire text, both paragraphs together. For today, please open your Pear Deck and go to the I Do page and make sure that you practice underlining the main idea with green, underlining two details with orange, and using the sentence stems to fill in your responses for your race response. Looks like my text boxes got a little messed up, so I'm going to stretch them back out. I want to make sure that you can read carefully my teacher example, and also as you're using the different tools, it's important that you make your work look legible. That means that I can read it. And again, make sure that you don't cover up the text because you'll want to use it for your race response. Work hard and have fun.